So Derek also was in the first Keeper of the Keys, which is the first of the 3 films. So the first one was The Keeper of the Keys, the second one was The Secret of the Keys, and the third, Becoming the Keys. So a little story before I get into the questions was, I was telling Derek earlier, I was watching Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. Anybody familiar with Think and Grow Rich? Napoleon Hill, it's a very famous book by Napoleon Hill. And they've just brought out this film called Legacy, and I was dying to watch it for ages, and I started to watch it. The next thing, this gentleman called Derek Mills pops up. And I looked and I thought, I'm sure I've seen him in the first Keeper of the Keys. And and like I say, taking action is really important. So as soon as I saw him, I paused the film, and I sent an email straight away. I believe it was an email. Or it might have been Facebook, actually.
Not sure.
Yeah, and I think you referred me to Sonja after. Yeah. And so anyway, so I got in touch with Derek and said, yeah, would you like to come to Cardiff? And he said, yeah, sure, let's make it happen. So it's it's moments like that where we've got to take action and then things happen. So Derek was in the first film called The Keeper of the Keys. So how did you get into The Keeper of the Keys, Derek?
Well, it's a long story. I'll make it short.
Yeah.
Essentially, I began my speaking career about 2011. Sorry, it's 2010. And I went along to an international speaking event in Holland called the Global Speaker Summit. Purely because I realised that what I had to do was I had to speak. I had to share my story and impact lives. Because in the previous 17 years, before I actually woke up, I'd been depressed and broke on pretty much every level, including financially. So it's really odd that I had a really strong feeling that even though I'd only spoken 4 times, I was going to go to an international speakers convention and ask if I could speak at that convention. The way the universe works is that I remember chasing and asking and again, and that's what we all have to do. We have to knock the door. Nobody answers. Well, knock the door again. Nobody answers. Well, knock again. And and eventually, even because of your sheer audacity, they'll open the door just to see what would you want. Well, that happened to me one Saturday afternoon after about the 5th email. They said, actually, someone has just dropped out of this event. What would you like to speak about? This was an event that was booked a year in advance, a year before. And I said, I'd like to speak about my life and my true self, and how to become your true self, and how to use daily standards to become your truth, live from that space. That was all online. So an email pinged back to me saying, yes, you can speak on Friday at 3:45. Yeah. The rest I'll fast forward through, because in the audience there was someone that said, actually, we liked that talk that you just did. I think I know someone in America who would like you in their film and to tell your story in their film. That person was the producer, Robin.
Wow.
So I had a conversation. And that was my 5th talk ever. So we then had a conversation with Robin, got involved in the film, with Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Dr. John Gray, who did Men Are From Mars. Yeah. So I got in that film, and then it moved onwards, because the second phase, after going to Vegas, LA, and doing all that stuff, which is, as you know, is amazing. It's like, whoa, yeah. And then centering yourself and going, okay, deliver, yeah. After that film came out, the first film, 5 and a bit years later, I get a phone call from someone from the States saying, I saw you in that film. I was the director of photography on that film. I'm doing a thing with the Napoleon Hill Foundation about Think and Grow Rich, making that into the biggest book. It's sold about 100 million copies. It's been available for about 90 years, roughly, 85, 90 years. And we'd like you to share your story and your daily standards bit in the film. Wow. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I think just want to say that what you were saying earlier on, I was kind of over there nodding, going, you've got to just knock until when? No, until. Yeah. And when the door opens, then you follow through, and you follow, if it comes from your spirit, comes from your heart, comes from God, whatever your faith position is, you follow it through, because why wouldn't you if it came from here? Why wouldn't you do that? It'd be against you to not follow through if you believe that's what you should be doing. So that's...
Yeah. Wow. So you've answered the first 3 questions in that. Awesome. My job's done, so what's the fun? No, so we'll skip on to number 4. This, so in your book, you just alluded to it just now, which I listened to an audiobook, just like I said earlier. You speak about daily standards and them being important, and sometimes more important than goal setting. So can you elaborate on this and how it's influenced your life and the lives of your clients?
Right, okay. Age 38, I was, in brief, broken, depressed, after having spent 17 years at that point working in financial services. So I should have known better about money and about life, but I didn't. I was depressed and I was broke. Very few friends, working 6-7 days a week, 7 if you'd let me. And evenings, not seeing my wife, not seeing my children, so I was really, really broke. The kind of broke where at home we're thinking about his work, and at work we're thinking about his, I wonder what they're doing at home, I wonder what are they up to right now, what am I missing? A slow learner, I didn't learn for about 17 years that was not me, it was not my life. So what I began to do, after having what I call just a moment, a 10-second moment, an epiphany, an awareness, an awakening, whatever you want to call it, one night at 38 years old, November the 11th, 2003, in fact it was, I realised, hold on a second, this is not my life. I'm not meant to be here. How it's been so far, this is not me. And if I'm going to really be me, I have to live for my truth. The problem is, for the previous 17 years, I've been doing programs and learning, reading books, listening to CDs and DVDs, bless you, and listening to tapes. And for those who are, old enough to remember tapes, listening to tapes, and I was still broken, depressed. So how come? I had a moment which I call the 10-second moment, because one night in the office at about 10 o'clock in the evening, somebody asked me a question that woke me up, which is, by the way, it's really, really, really important to pay attention, especially throughout this film tonight, because what I noticed then, and I know now, is that we can be woken up with a word, a thought, a question, a phrase, or an idea. Any one of those, just a word could wake you up if you're paying attention. If not, you could walk by the box of gold that's right in front of you that you need. So we need to pay attention. So I paid attention that night, and what happened is I began to realise that after 17 years of goal setting, that I really wasn't successful because I wasn't being me. I was putting my attachment to future things. When I get that car, and that house, and that person in my life, and that weight, and I can bench press that, and I can have that much money in the bank, and I've got that position in the company, then I'll be... Thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought as well, 17 years. The problem was, I was attaching happiness to the future achievements of things, and I was detaching happiness from today. Does that make sense? I would say, oh no, don't get me to be happy. Not until I've got that. Then I'll be happy. So I was losing happiness today. But there's a problem because happiness is a now experience. Happiness is a present time experience. We can't be happy tomorrow. Not one of us can be happy next week. We're going to be happy in the now. It's a present time experience. So in that 10-second moment that I had that night, it was, hold on a second, but all the teachers I've been listening to and reading about are saying set goals to be happy. But here I was, set goals, since I was 21 years old, and I wasn't happy. So what's missing? What you need to do is you need to live as your true self. That's the message that came through. Stop trying to be something else on worldly measures, and instead be yourself, living from your truth. Well, what else? Well, why not go inside you and determine who you really are as a person, and what your standards are, and what your rules are, the basis, the criterion for how you should live, the qualities of how you should live your life, and how you should be you. And it's not about being you, or having these rules, or the criteria, or the levels in the future. It was about being you today. So living by your daily standards, set from within, from your truth, set from that place, and being that person. Not gonna be that person, but being that person. So let's get really specific. Being you, living your truth, means being you just for today. So I took the pressure off being me in 3 or 4 years' time, or 5 years' time, or for too long. Can I be me, be my best truth, and live from this place? Can I love, and can I give, and can I share, and can I contribute, and can I really come into the world, into my job, in my relationships, as me. If I can do that, can I do it for 3 years? Probably not. Can I do it for a month? Probably not. Can I do it for a week? No. Can I do it today? Just until I get my head back on my pillow tonight, can I be me, be my truth, be my true self today, living at my own standards, contributing to the world, honouring myself, serving myself, which allows me to honour and serve others. Can I do that until midnight? Yes, I can. And that's what I did. So daily standards was a thing that said, goals are future-based. Daily standards they come from your truth, and you live them, you be them. That's not the right grammar, of course, but you be them just for today. And if the good Lord gives you another tomorrow, which we then call today, in that new today, you recommit to being yourself just for today. And that's it. Does that kind of help? Or
yeah, it's perfect. Thank you so much. And,
long answer, I know.
No, it's brilliant. Yeah, keep on coming. So I'm trying to absorb it all, and we're filming it, thank God, so I can revisit it later. I haven't missed anything.
Are you filming? Oh,
yeah. You look great there.
And tell me.
So, I think you give quite a few nuggets there, but I just wanted for the guests tonight, and for myself, 3 of your biggest tips for, maybe you've kind of given them away there, but I'd like 3 of your biggest tips for success in life and in business.
Number 1 would be to have a faith. To have faith. Just have faith. Explore that. Yeah? Because beyond you, there's more. And if you have faith, that more begins to express itself through you. And the only block to that faith expressing itself through you is you. Yeah? So that's have faith. Number 2 is to be you, to dare in this world where the whole world tries to contrive to have you be somebody else, to not be yourself, to conform, to dress this way, walk this way, do these things, and to be embarrassed by certain things. The real gift is to be yourself, and to be yourself, in every part of your life, every aspect of your life. And this second one is so important, because as we are, when I discovered, because my journey is not one of writing things down and being some clever person that figured it all out and knew when to live it. I lived it and then wrote it down. So it was experiential. What I noticed was the more I was my true self, the more I stayed in my truth, connected to source, connected to God, that I realised I had lots and lots of gifts and talents. Lots of gifts and talents. The types of gifts and talents that changed my life completely around. That even though I'd been poor and broke for those previous 17 years, that those gifts and talents were inside me all of those 17 years. They were there all the way. When I had the house repossessed, when the bailiffs were in the house, when I was crying in the bathroom because I had to go to the district judge to save the house from repossession the second time, when all these things occurred and I couldn't pay the bills and humiliation after humiliation, I had all those gifts inside of me. And how do I know that? Because they came out. And you can only get things out of you if they're inside of you, which means I call myself a genius. And I am a genius, by the way, in case you're wondering. Yeah. And the thing is, every single... And as I say in my book, every single one of us is a genius, and I can prove that because the things that occurred after that came out of me. Therefore, they must have been inside all the time. I must have been a genius all of those lean years. I hope that makes sense. You've already got it. It's not about what more you add to you. It's about how you allow things out of you already a genius. So that second bit allowed me to produce film, to speak publicly, to coach, to mentor, and to turn my business life around, to go from being broke and not paying the bills 6 days a week to money isn't the only cant. In fact, it isn't actually even the cant, but it's the one people tend to point to. Oh, you say you became a millionaire after 3 years after that night. Yes, I did. And you made $1 million in just 1 year after that night. Yes, in the same office, yeah, with the same products, yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't those things then, was it? So it must have been, that's right. That's what it always will be, it'll always be you. So then you become a multi-millionaire, and how did you do that? While doing the same thing, being me. So the reason, and this has only just come up now, I know we want to get the film going, but this has just come up. I know that the more I trust my truth, and that's connected to God and to the source, that I'm guided to do things that make no sense. Yeah. Logically, or with the left brain, it make no sense. So when I get an invitation from this guy, I don't even know this guy. I don't even know Steve. I've got people I know far better than Steve.
I don't know.
But what I'm saying is that I know this guy, and those of you that understand will know. So when I had that invitation, I thought, oh yeah. Where someone else who I perhaps met and known for many, many years, I would have said, well, actually, I can't do that. But I knew. I just knew. Don't ask me how I know. That's not important. But I knew that's what I had to do. There's another guy over here called Tim. And Tim and I connected. Tim's driven up from Bath to Bath today. And Tim and I connected. And I know Tim. I've got friends I've known a lot longer than Tim, and spent more time with than Tim. But I really know Tim. Yeah, and some of those other friends I don't know as well. Yeah. So the idea is following through on the truth. So let me just go to the third area. And the third area is to live by daily standards. Instead of living by standards set by the world, live by standards set by you. It's a longer explanation than that, but we all have standards that we live by. There are kind of internal subroutines, the things that make us up, and they're beneath our identity and our values, and most people are unconscious of those things, that they're unaware of them. Become aware of them and decide to set your own standards and live by those standards. That's the third one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So,
wow, thank you so much.
Okay. Every other answer will be very short. Every other answer will be very short.
I love it. Okay, we've got quarter an hour left. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the film's starting at 7, so we've got quarter an hour left of some questions. And that's one of the things that, like I was speaking about at the start, it was just one of those intuitive things, like get in touch with Derek. So I got in touch with Derek and then thankfully accepted. And it's, but since getting in touch, I've had the opportunity, like I said, to listen to his audiobook. And like I was telling Derek outside earlier, to follow him on social media. So I'd advise every single one of you, if you haven't already. Facebook is the one that the preferred method for myself. I don't know.
Same for me.
Yeah.
Facebook. Yeah.
So Facebook is good for Derek, and he puts some really nice quotes out, which every day I just love having them on my thread, and I like and love them because I know then the algorithm's going to push Derek's to the front as well, because they're nice ones to keep you in alignment. Nice little tips, guidance, quotes and stuff. So yeah, I'd advise everyone to follow Derek on social media as well. So, following on from that, I see the spiritual thread coming. I mean, again, you've kind of answered this in so many words, but let's get deeper into it. So, the spiritual thread coming through. Could you enlighten us with your faith and how important this has been in aligning with your success? I mean, I know you've kind of gone into it, but maybe let's really home in on that, because it's something that's really important to me, and I'd love to know. I can kind of get an idea and understanding where your heart's going through, but I'd love you to really get into your heart and share that with us. So, yeah.
Well, I'm a Christian, and I've been a Christian all of my life since I was baptised at, 7 months, or whatever you do that. But then I made a decision as an adult to become a Christian. So I have this faith, and for most of my life I didn't actually live that faith at all. I was just a Christian because I was a Christian. So, but not actually living it. But what I realised actually that when I wrote my book, The 10-Second Philosophy, I was being, I didn't know it then when things were happening, but I believe I was being guided, even when I wasn't a Christian. I was just playing at it. I believe I was, because the things that happened to me and the experience that I've had, from losing my mother when I was 13, I was formerly a stutterer, broke, depressed. I think actually these things must have happened for a reason. There's some good that's going to come out of this, and I can't see what that good is yet. And when I was going through the process, I was suffering, but the one thing that kept me going, even then when I was nowhere near how we share things today, nowhere near the person I am today, even then I knew that there's more to this than my suffering. And if there's more to this than my suffering, it's probably not for me, it's probably for other people. So that was my faith back then too, and that kind of didn't make the suffering any easier. I was not going to kid you around that, but it made me realise, hold on a second, this isn't just for me, this is suffering for others, so I can share my story and help somebody to wake up, and then have somebody else to wake up and to put their life into context, and to keep going when it gets tough. And part of the faith is that I have a real strong faith that I'm going to help wake somebody up. And you don't know who you're going to wake up, do you?
You already did.
Amen. Amen. And it's who they wake up, isn't it? And it's who they wake up. And it's who they wake up. So by playing your part, living in your truth, you get to go beyond your own lifetime. Go beyond that. So my faith is twofold. It's one that the things I'm doing, what I'm going through, both the pain and the good stuff, is there for good.
Yeah.
The second part of that faith is that I have a faith in God, and He has a bigger part to play in my life now. If you met me, even when I wrote the book, even when I wrote the book, I put in there things like the universe and the stuff and the universal mind and the universe, and I put all called God, because I knew that it was, even though I didn't have I've got a proper relationship with Christ at that point. But the idea is that as I woke up and went on that journey, I realised, hold on a second, there's even more to this. And so I began to just explore more of that, share more of my stories. And if you watch my Facebook thread since the 10-second philosophy came out, it was a bit of God in there, a bit of snippets of faith. And now I structure my language so that it's not over preaching, because it will put people off. I know that, living in this world. But it's enough where people go, interesting, or what does that mean? And noticing how people that I know haven't got a faith, and some haven't got any faith at all, are suddenly realising, well, what's this? And commenting, and then getting lots and lots and lots of questions. If I didn't dare to be myself, where would those questions have gone? That is perhaps a very hard answer to that question. But I appreciate that even right now, I'm on this journey, and I'm loving my faith, and it's difficult, and it's hard, and none of us are perfect, therefore we both know, we all know in fact, that when you start having a faith, life gets harder, not easier. That's what I found out, it gets harder. Yeah. That makes sense?
Totally, yeah. It's a laugh, because it's, and I think that can be something that when we see like gurus, teachers, spiritual people that have made it in inverted commas, there can be the illusion that we think that they've got there almost by magic, and they haven't gone through anything. If anything, they've gone through more things than what we've gone through, and that's what's made them get there. And it's thanks so much for sharing that.
And listening to your intro earlier on about your journey, I'd be keen to know where your faith come from in terms of what made you go, okay, I'll do this, and then I'll crowdfund, get into that. Then I brought a Premier, because I know what it was taking to bring a Premier. We do know that. So what's your faith journey? What gives you that strength to do those three parts of your journey that you've gone through? What gave you the strength?
So you're flipping it on me now, right? Thank you. I
was interested in sitting over there thinking, he's not telling us enough.
Yeah, it's interesting actually what you said just now, because just recently I've also had a bit of a realisation about I need to be a bit more open with my spirituality and with my faith and my relationship with God as well, because like I say, it's nothing preachy, and take it or leave it. It's not. It's just what I feel I have to have a duty share is something that is so close to my heart and has helped me so much in my life. And like Derek rightly said, it's not that everything gets easier. However, you always know there's somebody there. Always, like I said, about when I went on that film and just about to film, and then the guy coming down around the house, coming down with a book, just that feeling that, okay, so no matter how many challenges, difficulties, depressions, whatever we've been through, that there's somebody else there which is guiding and supporting us. And that's what I'm about, really. That's what I'm about in sharing. And there may be many different ways of sharing that, like I was sharing with you outside. Like, I allude to it, but now I made a commitment for 2019 to be my authentic self. And after listening to your book as well, actually, it really helped me to get into alignment. Whatever that thing is, or even worse, they start, I have had that, and it does hurt. But 2019, I've really made a vow to myself that I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to be somebody else for other people. I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to walk my talk, and I'm going to walk who I truly am authentically, for not for me, but for God, and to pass that on as a service, because it's been given to me as a gift, and it's the most precious gift that I've got. So I feel it's a duty that I have to share, and no matter what difficulties and stuff that I've been going through, I know in my heart that there's something that's birthed all of this, or someone that has birthed all of this, and they can take care of everything. So no matter what difficulties they're pushing us through, or he's pushing us through, then he's got it sorted.
And part of the journey for me was around realizing that we have to be our truth, because just by being here tonight, you're going to impact lives, and on the result of that, tens of lives, hundreds of lives, thousands of lives, 10,000s of lives. And we know that because every person here will have an impact because of this film tonight. So think about it another way, and that's to the degree that you're not your true self, you don't get to be who you truly are. Yeah, it sounds like I'm saying the same thing, but it's not. To the degree that you're not your true self, you don't get to be who you truly are, and the world needs you to be you. It needs you to be you. Someone's going to see the movie and go, oh, right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to connect with these people, serve my clients differently. I'm going to be different as a result of seeing the film. They wouldn't have got to that place if not for you getting to your place. So we can be in two places, non-self or true self. Non-self doesn't serve ourselves, we're not happy as non-self. You can't be happy as not you. True self, you can be happier as you, and you'll be able to serve the world better as you. So there's a real practical part of this. The more that you're your truth, the more that your stuff and your talent show up, the more that your genius shows up, the more you help the world. So it's a win-win. Practically, it's a win-win.
Awesome.
Yeah, so just before the film starts, so the film will start in 5 minutes, so I've got one question from one of you in the audience. So for the first one to put a hand up was Mo. So, she knew what was coming. So yeah, Mo, if you'd like to ask Derek something, please.
Yeah, I know, I understand where you're coming from. I know who both of you are. I can see it, I can feel it, and I think all of us feel connected with you. We are, aren't we? My question is, just for the sake of a practical thing then, Derek, when you say be in my real self and be in my non-self, can you give a real solid example, say at work for instance, the difference between your non-self and that reaction and your real self and that reaction?
Okay, so living most of my career, I've had 32 years now in financial services, and the last 17 or 15 of that in wealth management. So before waking up to my truth, I would be whatever a client would want me to be. Jump high, jump when, work on a Saturday and a Sunday if you'd let me. Because you said, well, I'm in Salisbury, Derek, you can send me in Salisbury on Saturday morning. I would drive to Salisbury, wife and children, at home, and I'd be missing them driving there. I would work evenings, I would work whenever a client would want me to. And then when I sat in a room with a client, if the client came to the office to see me, I would sit there kind of just spouting what I'd learned. And of course I'd watch other people. So, because Steve does this, so I'll do that, and John does this, so I'll put a bit of that in, and I'll say those words, and I'll even dress in a certain way, and I'll have that pen, because they all have the pen. So they'll have the pen and look this way. And my business and my finances were going down the pan, because people weren't buying me. Simple as that, people were not buying me. Yeah, I wasn't buying myself. I was standing in front of audiences, speaking, doing a wealth seminar about financial services, becoming a client of ours, and did the presentations, and basically almost went broke because I was doing the presentations, paying for the hotel, paying for lunch, getting hardly any clients that weren't buying me. Because I had a feeling, I couldn't have an answer, but I had a feeling that they were saying, oh, that's not the guy. You know, this may make sense, but it may not make sense. True self. I made a decision that I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm a son, I'm a brother. So I'm not working weekends, not working evenings. So I haven't done that since about November 2003. Yeah? And it didn't reduce my income, it increased my income. Because I then began to live more of my truth. So I'm in the room now with clients. I'm sitting with these clients, and I get a sense that they already know I'm not the brightest guy they've ever met. They've met other wealth managers or other advisors. And I say, look, I know I'm not the brightest guy I've ever met. What I'm sensing today is this. You've shared this, and this with me. You're 72 years old. My average client is 72 years old in my practice. You're 72 years old. I'm just wondering, please can you share with me, not about the money, but about how you've got to this place where you don't know what to do, and you're 72 years old. Can you share that? Would you mind sharing some of your values with me? What's important about this to you? And if I was to understand this, and this, could you share that with me? As in, I put the money aside and started to connect with them and opened up. And what I used to do, which was kind of just playing with it, I'd ask them, why are you here? I never asked that question before. No, I've never read inheritance tax, or taught how to trust. No. You can get that anywhere. Why are you here? Tell me why you're here. What's been missing, or what you're looking for? And after that, I began to, what I called hold a space. So I'm in a room with someone, and I say, this is not my space, this is their space. And I'm going to be my authentic self, and they're going to recognize me if they can. Yeah? Because you can be in the room with someone, and they don't recognize you. And I thought, we're from the source, we're from the light. And I know, if I just be my truth and be my light, if there's any resonance with that person, they're going to see that light. In fact, I believe that they're waiting for that recognition, they're waiting for that space, waiting for someone. They met 5 other advisors, 5 other wealth managers, and they haven't become a client of that person. And because they're thinking, that's not the person. Here comes Derek, not the cleverest guy I've ever met. Some of my clients are brighter than me, Sonny will tell you that, far cleverer, really weirdly clever and bright. But then they go, but this feels right. This feels right. So when I open up that and I hold a space for them and say, this is your space, share with me. And if we never meet again, that's absolutely fine. But I want to make sure that we work together if we're meant to work together. And what I believe, what I tell myself back then, and I tell myself now, is I believe, absolutely believe, that there's something inside of them will resonate with me and me with them if we're meant to work together. And if we're not meant to work together, then I'll just politely end the meeting when it's supposed to end and help them on their way. They're somebody else's client. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, well, that's a long answer there.
Thank you so much, Derek. Yeah, so big hand for Derek.